Welcome to Life in the Music Business, a masterclass with Professor Pooch and your host, BACEFACE.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Life in the Music Business with Professor Pooch. What's going on, Pooch?
We've both been going crazy all day long, and this is another one of our midnight shows. And we each have our own things, and then they flow together sometimes, and just everything just runs together with so many things in the industry. One of the things, oh God, I did mention that last time. Okay. One of the things that gets me is that, when people pay me something, I give them a receipt. And they look at me kind of funny, a lot of them, the business people know, do you have a receipt? Or they'll ask me for a receipt. And, I'll give them, I always give receipts. It's just, I attach it kind of a thing, and I say, thank you. Just scroll down a little, there's the receipt. But why am I bringing this up? Is that there's two kinds of records. There's the records that spin, and there's the records that keep you in business safely and stuff like that. And people don't understand, when I give them a receipt, I'm a tax write-off. If they buy anything from me, contracts or whatever, guidance, whatever, it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And the key to thinking of it is, and then I'm going to give you a quiz. The thinking of it is anything that could possibly be related to your career. And that includes music business. And hey, you still need a video camera. These are things that you can write off for taxes. It comes out of the money you earn, so it helps you out. The thing is, it does take some work sometimes, and try to get a receipt for everything, anything related. And we're gonna go through a list here for a couple minutes, but it's you want to start keeping these business records. If you can't get a receipt and you spent something that had to do something with the list we'll get through, then write it down, the date, how much you spent, where you spent it, or whatever. Nowadays, most stuff's done online anyway, so
I have all my online banking, so I'm able to just send my my whole, everything to my accountant.
All right. Here's I'm going to go with you. Start naming things that you think about writing off.
I mean, there's so many things. I mean, we can start with just the normal
You
necessities.
could start with you can do it in categories.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so like food, travel, stay, equipment.
All right, stop. Food, travel, if it's between your place and a gig, or you're at a business lunch. Oh my God, they got that in the back of the taxes. The two more, they call it the two martini lunch or whatever for business folks. But it's, as long as it's a business meeting, you can write off a certain amount. But keep extra track. It's not, there's no way to be specific, only an accountant, because the tax law has changed yearly. But there's so many things you can write off. Okay, so you went through, the food, travel, and stuff. Then you said equipment. And what goes with equipment?
I mean, equipment. There could be.
Well, first of all, let me go from another direction. Insurance.
Yeah, I literally was just saying insurance. I was really saying it
Yeah, I mean,
because I was
your
thinking like
insurance should be
protection plan, and I didn't know how to say it.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. And there's travel insurance. There are companies that do handle musicians insurance, whether it's in your place or but it's under professional equipment. It's not your whole house, it's your equipment. And if you take it with you and stuff like that, that's where insurance companies coming very handy. All right, what else can you write off?
You can write off clothes, probably. I mean,
Clothes that are used for on stage or on camera, yes.
All right. And then I said stay. Like if you're like for me, for instance, like if I go and I get a hotel and
Yeah, see, and you're living that and experiencing that, which is important, and that's good. Because let's say you hire this producer and come and you get him into town and he's staying at a hotel and you're paying for his food, you're paying for this, everything you pay for that producer coming for those recording sessions, get a receipt, That's why things are good under contract, because contract should, on those kinds of things, say how much money that producer's getting for this or that or whatever. You can get into all kinds of things like that. All right, let's just go through a couple other different kinds of things. Obviously, any piece of recording equipment that you buy. If you're in the music industry, anything. It could be a guitar, a microphone. I'm just looking what's in here. Keyboards, uh, programs, computer programs you use. Okay. Anything to do with and upkeep of your computer. If you might have to print out lyric sheets, you can write off a printer. You can write off the ink that you buy for the printer. Are you seeing where this is going?
yes. There's
It's
a lot of things you can write off.
yes, there as long as just make sure it's related. If you're not sure of something, just write it down and let your accountant say, because some of those accounts are pretty creative too, of how it can be done and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's why I learned, and this might be making an easy way for other people with receipts. Luckily, a lot of stuff on the computer and stuff, like I get a lot of stuff just printed out with how much I made, all that stuff. But I got this. I always put a box like this next to me, and right on the table that's that way. And anytime I get any receipt, I just throw it in. So this way I'm not losing it, because I used to put one here, one there, all goes in the box. At the end of the year, I go through the box, put them in order, say, oh, this is important paper, but it's nothing to do with taxes, but it's still important. I put anything important into this stupid little box next to me. I've been doing it for years. It just,
That's a good way, actually.
it's real simple. That's the point. That's, of course you want to, if you want to keep Excel sheets and all that stuff, that's great. But you need the printed receipts on some things. And, or like I get receipts from PayPal, because a lot of people, well, most people pay me through PayPal. So I get my whole tax thing basically at the end of the year, I print it out. And that's everything. And then you give it to the accountant.
That's it. You got to pay taxes is important, but also knowing how to not pay as much. I mean, all those write-offs, they basically get rid of whatever you owe, right?
Yeah, well, it could. Theoretically, it could, yes. By the way, one thing it's just, see, it's different things with different businesses. And the music business, a lot of what we do product-wise and everything, at one time, there's a lot of physical product. We had to store it. We had to do things like that. But now everything's digital. So you don't have to, I'm getting to this point. You don't have to have inventory. My wife owned a store. She had to have inventory to sell. Nowadays, you can get print on demand. So you don't even have to own, remember you used to have to, well, we did. Yeah, makeup t-shirts have put out a lot of money and stuff. Now a lot of things like shirts and hoodies and all kinds of things, glasses, posters, are print on demand. So you don't have to, the cost of printing stuff up and then the cost of them holding it in their warehouses and stuff. It's print on demand, done, out, shipped. Which that's one thing I love about the nowadays thing. Man, I don't want to go through with merchandise kind of stuff, going through all those old steps. You got to find somebody who could do this, you could do that. Right now, you just get the design you want from whomever and then put it out there. Just print on demand. Yeah, it'll cost you. You won't make as much money, folks. At the same point, you have no hassle because they ship it, put your money in your bank account. That's simple.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of that stuff is very tedious too. Very, very tedious. So
God.
it's almost easier than, I mean, if you get 100 packages, I mean, you could be sitting there all day just printing labels and putting them on the packages, you know?
It's just not that. Where are you going to keep all this stuff?
Yeah,
What I mean? It takes, so there are some advantages with all the business kinds of stuff with the music industry. It's just important to keep in mind. It just get receipts for everything you do that has anything to do with the music industry and or related industries, things you need. Like, you need a computer, you need paper to write on, you might need sheet music to write on, you might need sheet music as a band. I mean, all these things. Just use your imagination and let us know what we missed or something. But it's just so wide. It's so wide and stuff like that.
there's so many different parts of the process of being in the music industry. So, I mean, you, like Pooch said, you can think outside the box of what would be classified as a write-off, you know what I mean? But I mean, I know a lot of people that buy equipment, that buy different plugins and buy different things that are going to build their business up to be able to use as a write-off, basically.
Yeah. Now, look, you can't keep losing money every year or they're going to get suspicious. You do have to work hard and make enough money, and then it's easy to deduct. But, you have to plan on getting the habit of it. So you plan on when you do make money, you're all ready, stuff like that.
That's why you need the contracts and need to set everything up with the organizations that are necessary to be able to get paid properly.
Oh yeah, it is a path. It's just get it over and done with, Like my money goes into, like, for example, PayPal, and PayPal puts it in this bank account. Once you set all this kinds of stuff up, it's fine. Sound Exchange wants a bank place to uh, deposit your money directly. Amazon deposits their money directly. It makes it easier because then you have printed records because it's on the bank stuff.
Here's an interesting question for you. Do you need to pay taxes on royalties?
Do you need to pay taxes on royalties? Which direction should we go? Royalties is income. Let's keep it real simple. Royalties are income. Yes, you have to pay money on royalties. But what you can do is write it off from different other angles. That's why these receipts are important. It sounds funny, but it's almost like that guitar you bought is going to cross out some of these royalties I'm getting so that the IRS doesn't get all my money. Yeah, of course. Any form of income is taxable. Unless you're a nonprofit, and I'm not going into that kinds of stuff today.
That's too complex. So,
oh my God, you cannot believe, because I'm on several boards, and it's Robert's Rules of Order to the 50th extent, and there's so many kinds of conflicts you can get into, and you can't. A lot of people are business people, and there's a conflict with a nonprofit if you're making money through the nonprofit and you're a board member, things like that. So, I mean, when I'm on boards, I have to stay clear of anything to do with any of that with that particular organization. Oh, it's a bitch, because I was one of those people, along with a couple of lawyers, who designed one just recently for the latest board I'm on. And it's like 9 pages. Of possible, if there's a conflict, how do you get around the conflict? Conflicts of interest can come up in a lot of different ways, a lot of different subjects. We won't stress on it right now. What's been on your mind lately? I mean, with all the stuff you're going through you were talking about mixing, and I don't know if we got that on tape or not, but about mixing and just your ears need a break sometimes.
Yeah, my conflict recently is for the people that are watching the videos, you could see that how I had all this entire room outfitted with panels that acoustically absorb everything that is a no-no in this room. But for me, it's like it's always been throughout time that it takes me at least 6 months when I move to a new area or a new studio room or something to be able to get used to it and understand it like the back of my hand. So testing out my mixes and going back and forth to my car has been a really consistent thing. But unfortunately, due to unfortunate circumstances, I currently do not have my car, so I can't test my mixes. But I do have music that's going to be released within the next week. So I've just been going back and forth and just
My thing is, I'd rather, if I'm in the position and my name's on a product, I'd rather wait an extra couple days before putting something out if it ain't right.
agreed. I mean, that's how I am. I like being patient with it because there's
It's
really
your
no
name.
rush.
All you have in the music industry is your name. And everything's under your name. And when you put out product, you want it to be the best product you could put out. But man, it's like you if you do tons of mixes on the same song, or just while you're working on the same song, you're hearing it while you're putting the track together and stuff like that. After a while, you've heard it too many times.
Yeah.
Sometimes what you have to do, believe it or not, and I've had people do this, and I know some good mixers who do this. If they do the recording, they might have somebody else do the mix with them because you've heard the song too many times. You hear the words when you don't hear the words. You know, it's just.
You need that outside perspective sometimes. Mixing is probably the most difficult thing that can be done with a song. I mean, besides writing it and choosing that type of stuff, the mixing is like the hardest thing to master. The thing that I see with majority of the people that I've worked with is the mixing is always the most difficult.
That's the thing. My thing to a lot of people, if you're the recording engineer, have somebody else mix it. You know, you just heard it too many damn times. And, you know, that doesn't say you don't take a try at that mix, but also let somebody else try it too.
Yeah, could be worth it.
Get different. It could be better. It could be worse.
Yeah,
You know, because they're going to do what their style is. You know, a mixer should not be biased to any one style or against any one style, whatever way you want to put it. They should be open-minded and letting it go where it goes. How do you bring out each instrument and the sound? By the way, you know what Mike Tarsha does? If he has a client he doesn't know or whatever, somebody new or something like that, or they want a different kind of sound, he says, look, give me a couple recordings. Show me where I can get a couple recordings and that of the kind of sound you like. You know, I could, see if it's close, if it's far, if it's depth, if it's, what kind of sound are you looking for? And he'll keep that in mind while he's mixing. And then he does what I always did. I kick everybody out when I'm doing a mix, the beginnings of the mix. Let me get it all straightened out. And then when it's almost there, I'll say, yeah, come on in, or, you're ready to come over and you want to hear it. Or in those days, if you couldn't send it digitally now, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that have to happen that are like meticulous. Like I always cut out certain frequencies and do this and do that. And when I have somebody in the room, they're over my shoulder. They're just like, oh, why are you doing that? Oh, why are you doing this? It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't even start.
Oh, no, yeah. See, the point is, I don't want anybody in the room. Part of it is I don't want to hear any thinking. It's just, even if they don't say anything, I still feel that, I just see their minds racing, especially if it's somebody new to recording, okay? Their minds are racing too hard. They need to just step back, let the engineer do what they do. Then when they get it close, listen to it. But of course, the artist or whomever the producer is should have a say.
Of course, because I mean, in the end, it's they have a hand in the product, and
well, the final answer comes to who paid for the product.
Yeah, true. But I also see I've met a lot of engineers that are really like, I'm gonna make the mix how I want it. I don't care about your input, especially if you don't have credibility. And I don't necessarily agree with that because that's very limiting.
Yeah, it's like managers, it's like producers, like any kinds of people. There's three different kinds. But we'll keep it with producing or engineering, either one, okay? One is You do what I tell you to do. 180 degrees. What do you want me to do? The middle. You work together. You know, you have your ideas. Yeah. I was saying at the other show. I mean, I'd sit down on my keyboard workstation or something, and sampler, etc. And I always were able to find out something that I liked, that I thought fit, and what they liked, and I made it work between the two. And we compromised to whatever that we were both happy.
Yeah, I
It
do the
just
same thing.
takes an attitude.
Yeah, I like that way better too, because a lot of the times if I could be making something, and if I was to say, hey, listen, I'm gonna make what I feel and I don't care what you think, then it's like I could be sitting here working on something for 2 hours and they're completely uninterested, you know. So I'd like to go back and forth. Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, if I was engineering, I would be certain things. Okay, how about a grittier bass sound, you know, and then make it gritty or whatever. So, yeah. And where were we? Producing the
Yeah, well, no, we're just talking about a lot of different things, but one thing I think is super super important to really cover that I don't think we really have when it comes to this type of stuff musically is your referencing monitors or how you're listening to your music. Eh, that I feel like that's huge nowadays, because you could take the same song and listen to it on 7 8 different pairs of
everyone's gonna be different.
I mean, you could listen to them on 8 different pairs of monitors, and each one has its own distinct sound. So it's like, it's not necessarily the speaker that matters. It's really how you hear and perceive those monitors, and whether you're using headphones or et cetera, et cetera.
All right, you gave me a bunch of topics, but I'm just gonna hit the main thing that drives me crazy. And it's happened to so many people the first time they ever been in a studio. They want to hear it through the big, gigantic speakers,
Yep.
those big monsters, and that bass is booming, and they take it home and there's no bass. That happened so many times through the years. It's one of those things, you know, you got to listen to it through multiple speakers. When I was at Studio 4's Rough House, they make all the recordings there and stuff like that. They still mix it the old-fashioned way. Yeah, you do a mixing on of course, they had a good board and stuff like that. You check it on different speakers. You also take out this little 1960s transistor mono radio. Sigma used to do that. A lot of the majors do. You play it through a mono, tiny, you know, transistor radio. It should sound good. Another thing, and another very simple thing is, listen to it when you're mixing at separate, different volumes. It might sound, if it sounds really good, high, but maybe something when it's really low, something's missing or something, you know, on different volumes. All right, your turn. You go with your speakers things.
Oh, I mean, I feel that volume is huge. I never listen to anything at full blast. I'll only play at full blast if I'm standing in the back of the room and I'm trying to just close my eyes and see how it makes me feel. But whenever I'm mixing, I always have it on a low volume to be able to hear everything clearly, and then I'll be able to make the proper decisions, as opposed to having everything drived up and the reflections in the room are telling me something different. Oh, you have too much of this and too much of that. But really, it's just I'm blasting the speakers and I can't hear. You know what I mean? You get fatigued after a while.
Yeah, but and another thing is certain monitors have to be at a certain volume or they don't really work accurately.
That's very
Some of
true.
those major speakers, if you're not pushing 50 to 75 watts, whatever, you know, I'm not going to go into all that stuff. If you're not pushing that much, it might not be at a full sound.
Agreed. I understand that as well. That's happened to me with I have a pair of passive speakers from the 90s that were my dad's back when he was a recording engineer, and they sat on the side for 20 years. And then when I got into music, I picked them up, and I noticed that when at low volume with them, you necessarily don't get the full dynamic range. But when you turn them up slightly,
Oh,
you're like in between.
well, also, you brought up something like headphones. Now, I always, when I did mixes, I did do a check with headphones, basically for the stereo part of it. They're right up in your ears.
Yep.
Now, Oh, some of the old records, you could hear people talking in there. It's very strange listening to good headphones for the old Beatles songs. They were always talking to each other. Where was I? But the headphones, yeah, I'll check on it, but I would never go by a mix on them. What I'm going to do, let's say I'm recording, and then you say what you do. If I'm recording myself and I have a studio here, when I think it's right, I'll make a copy or whatever. I take it, I put it in my car, just for different speakers and stuff like this. But what I always, because nothing's going to sound like it is in the studio, because it's that particular studio. As an artist, what I learned to do is not even listen to it in the car. Take it home. I'm not the producer or engineer now, I'm just the artist. Take the recording home and don't listen to it for 2 days. Because there's no way in the world on your system it's going to sound like those studio monitors unless you have studio monitors yourself. My thing is try it on all different kinds of speakers because they all sound different. And if they sound good on all, great. I mean, at least they're not going to sound exactly the same, but they still sound good.
Yeah, you'll get a good reference and be able to see some things poking out more on some speakers than others. And especially a lot of people walking around nowadays are using AirPods. So even testing your mixes out on those, what the consumer is actually using is really important because you
That's
may
a good
think your
point.
high end sounds great on the speakers when you're playing it in your room until you put them in your ear. And then it's like, oh my God, it's piercing, you know?
It's a good point. It's a good point. What's your way of checking out mixes and stuff?
Well, I mean, one, going through and listening to the mix on many different references. I mean, I don't really I have a few that I really trust, like my car, my headphones, my monitors. I have two sets of monitors, so technically four different ways, but I try
That's good. That's better than most people are going to have. Let's
yeah.
face it.
And I mean, even then you could break it down even further and say, oh, from my phone, from my laptop, and playing it and walking out of the room, I mean, there's many different ways to hear if how it actually sounds. And sometimes I even I don't like to do this too often, but I use reference tracks of like how I want the final product to sound so that I can either match the volume level or match the overall tonality of that record that I like.
And by the way, that's not hard to do if somebody really wants to do it. Say they like the way sonically, the way this song sounds, this other song sounds. What I've seen people do is they put a frequency analyzer on it. So at what frequencies it's up, it's down, and on EQ and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then they pull up the song they want it to go to and take that frequency stuff to the other thing.
Yeah.
I guess it works. If it doesn't, it's worth a try.
There's a lot of good programs nowadays that show the visual, the frequency analyzer of the song that you're listening to, so that you can compare and contrast. Isotope, they have some really great software where you can do that as well, and you could even do it just by putting up like a EQ that has a frequency analyzer on it and just comparing the two and just seeing, oh wow, this is more of this curve as opposed to mine, which is more of like this curve. And what I mean, you can see where certain things need to be like, what I mean, either leveled out volume wise. Typically is a lot of the problems I
Well,
see.
I always had one rule that I found out worked all the time, and that is I rolled off everything under 25 hertz.
Yeah.
I rolled it totally off
Yep.
because the human being doesn't hear under that, under 20
I
anyway,
would just feel it.
but they'll feel it and it could annoy them. I've listened to recordings and I say, boy, I should be liking this, but something's bothering me and I don't even know what it is. And it's the vibrations. So, because then I put it in my car and it's, it was really showing it. Yeah, so I just rolled off under 25. You could feel it, you can't hear it. Actually, it can make you physically sick. I've known sound people that had troubles for a while that they didn't know they left a low frequency on. And, these sound people that went on, gigs and stuff. And oh God, he wasn't happy for days. Yeah, those frequencies, you feel frequencies too, you know?
Yeah, you do. And that's why the binaural frequency stuff that's on YouTube that you can find, that is like you can find stuff for meditation, for calming, for happy, for, you know what I mean,
Everything.
everything. And there's a frequency that triggers everything, and you could just play it and close your eyes and you just feel it, and it's like, wow, like you
Yeah,
would don't realize.
what I like is, yeah, the binaural, you almost always have to use headphones because it's feeding a different frequency to the left side of the brain than it's feeding to the right side of the brain. For what I don't know the physical whatever, but they warn you. And they also say when you play it on devices like YouTube and stuff, it screws it up. So, but there are actually binaural machines you can buy, physical things. I've had one many, many years ago where, but it's amazing what sound can do. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it is incredible. Seriously. I mean, I don't know what I would be without music, honestly. It's
Oh, I know. It's
life.
just anything bother me, I go downstairs and I'm maybe making a shake or whatever like that. I turn on the music and I hit a song or two that I can really feel, and it just whoop, I'm fine again, And
Yep.
it just it clears your head because it gets you moving. It takes you on that mini vacation.
Yeah, it's a really good stress reliever too. Like whenever I used to be upset or something, I used to like listen to that, listen to all types of different music that would match my mood at that moment, because I made playlists and had all the different stuff that I liked. And it just calms you, you know? It's just there's something about it. I can't get away from it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the one I told you about. I think I sent it to you. It's on YouTube where it just you keep it at very low volume. It's alpha waves. You keep a very low volume, and it just makes you get a lot done. Yeah, it's not to hear. It's just just kind of know it's there. It's very low, and it just keeps moving along and stuff. And for some reason, I get so much more done.
Yeah, me
It-
too. Oh yeah. When I used to write papers for school, my secret was play my music in the background and I would get it done. But if I sat there and I was in silence, I would never be able to work. I used to get in
Yeah.
trouble in school all the time for that.
Well, where I always got in trouble with my wife is I want to hear music when I'm going to sleep. I
Yeah,
like sound on and stuff like that. Something on, of some kind of music of some sort.
of course, of course. I mean, one thing I actually do sometimes is listening to like the ocean waves or mixed with a
Oh
couple
yeah,
things.
they have subliminals. They have subliminals where subliminal means you don't hear it directly, but it comes through to your subconscious. They have, just like you said, waterfalls and rain and thunderstorms and all this other kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, it's putting these positive things into your brain. They always give you a list of what's being said and stuff like that. But they're cool, I mean, it's just you can go to sleep and stuff. It worked for me many, many years ago. It helped me a lot actually, just putting something on and just let it loop. And I go to sleep, and it was very helpful to get me in the right frame of mind, especially when I was real young, when I was out there being a wild nut, rock and roller, just being rock and roller,
We all have those times in our lives, you know, and we grow past them, but they're fun while they last. That's for sure.
Oh, geez, yeah. I mean, just all kinds of music and stuff. It's still interesting how many people are sending me these when they send me songs. A lot of times, these are all age people. Will send me these songs that have been around for a while, and I, you know, luckily there are some stuff because of indie people that have been able to make it on their own that are starting to put some variety into the music and stuff like this
Yeah. It's
nowadays.
really, really important because I mean everybody's trying to fit in instead of stand out. And I think that's the problem that we've come to in the across all genres, really. Just like you go and listen to this stuff, and even from the top artists, it just doesn't do anything for me because it's just the same thing I've been hearing forever. And it's hard for an artist to switch a sound because all the fans are like, why are you doing that? We want you to do what we like.
Hey, there's been some that have been doing it successfully. I mean, God, Lady Gaga switched about 15 different styles. It depends, but yes, it's very true. It's happened to a lot of people like that. Yeah, can't argue with that.
Yeah, but I think we had a good show today, and we're coming on our time right now.
Okay, folks. Well, tune in for the next episode. And remember to check us out and subscribe and follow, etc., 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 because it's the culmination of all the shows that make it all happen.
All right, guys. See you.
Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode.